Ministers are reportedly weighing up plans to keep some criminals out of jail, forcing them to do tougher community service stints instead. Former Conservative MP David Gauke, who served as Justice Secretary, has been tipped to head up the plan. He said back in 2019 that scrapping prison terms of less than 6 months could be a good idea. And this could help, of course, with prison overcrowding, which hit record levels in August, with 88,000 people behind bars, with the result they had to let out people, with the result that they let out the wrong people, and then we get our sort of wheel of misfortune. We're right back with that. So, Mike, let's think about this. Anything under 6 months, you're not going to jail.
Once you start going soft on justice, it's the criminals who are winning. It's the lawbreakers who are winning. I mean, to say, tougher programmes of community service, a lot of these people don't even turn up for community service. And when they do, they're not asked to do very much. It's ludicrous. Once you indicate in any way, I know, let's not be as harsh on people who break the law in this country, and they'll be nicer about it. Utter rubbish. All people who are committing crimes which invoke a prison sentence must go to prison. And the answer is, if there aren't enough places, build more prisons.
Stella, what about that?
If you care about reducing reoffending, if you care about having people committing less crimes, then you want to look at what kind of policy is effective in actually reducing reoffending, and it's not costing the taxpayer. You are so in favour of having lower taxation, Mike. How exactly are we going to achieve that if we're going to spend 50k each year on prisoners, non-violent prisoners, for example, people who could be helped if they were on a community service? It doesn't mean that you're not going to punishment. But what it means is you're not going to have just a short-term disruption of their lives without any benefits. They can't go to work. They lose their tenancy agreements. They have issues with their families. Then you have overcrowding in prisons. We haven't built enough prisons as a country. It's just expensive. It's harmful to the communities. It's harmful to the individuals.
It's called society. And you have to live with the rules of society.
I'm going to point out, Stella is head of policy at Catch-22, and this is right up your street.
Exactly.
You're actually, as if you can tell, Mike, you're up against a campaigner here, because she does know what she's talking about.
And the entire criminal justice sector,
she's wrong. You think she's wrong?
They will tell you the entire criminal justice sector, people who actually work with people who come in, who are in the criminal justice system, they will tell you short prison sentences have been catastrophic for this country, because you basically have people who will commit silly, non-violent crimes. I'm not talking about violent criminals. Sure, lock them up if they're violent criminals.
Well, we had the case recently of I won't say their name, but a very well-known television presenter who was convicted of doing something very bad involving offences involving child pornography.
Yes.
He didn't go near a jail, right? And everyone said, oh my goodness, what kind of justice system are we running?
Yeah.
But the answer is you want more people like him not to go to jail.
Well, you need to have alternatives. As a society, there is a very good reason why we have decided that locking up everyone is just not a solution.
It is a solution.
You need to have alternatives. There isn't enough space.
It is a solution. Stella, I gave praise to Labour government for cracking down on the rioters in the streets. When they cracked down, guess what? The riots stopped. And why did they stop? Because people fear going to jail. And when people are in jail, they can't commit crimes on the outside. So prison does work, and we must build more prisons.
They do sometimes kill each other in prison.
Do you believe in rehabilitation? The problem with short-term prison sentences is that you don't give them enough time to rehabilitate whoever is inside. You don't give them enough time to deal with their mental health issues, to give them skills so that when they come out of prison, they can find a job and they can become a part of their community.
Longer sentences,
not everyone is a lost cause. Not everyone
who commits
a crime is a lost cause.
What is your worry here, Mike? That someone will be done for burglary?
Yeah.
And by the way, it's probably their 40th offence when they're actually done.
I was about to say, or 76, as I read in the paper this week.
But when they're finally convicted, surely their name is on the list then. We know they're a burglar.
Yeah.
That's going to mean they're going to be picked up quicker next time.
Well, not necessarily, because we have a very transient society. You know, you can't say, he lives at 23 Poland Street or something like that. We'll go and get him. People move around and they avoid the system. Can I ask you this? If community service is such a good thing, when did you last see the equivalent of a chain gang anywhere in this country with people with orange jackets on, picking up litter or, digging out drains and doing something?
I don't see that.
You need to invest in community service.
Well, I'm assuming that most people who tidy up litter have been to jail, but maybe they don't.
But so far, community services have not been an option as often as we would like, and this is exactly what we have been asking for. We need to be able and to look at policies such as restorative justice and community services to make them viable.
Mike is, because once occasionally, I mean, Blair did this, Cameron did this, it never happened. They said from now on, if you are doing community service, you're going to wear pink. Yeah. Because we need to be able to see who they're...
Absolutely, I've never seen one.
But are you in favour of that? Is this more of a public spectacle? No.
No, I don't think that shaming people is going to be the answer, especially when you're talking about young kids, for example, who are coming in touch with the criminal justice system for the first time. The solution is to rehabilitate them and to make them part of their community again.
All right. Val is in Cornwall. Val, what do you think of this? David Gauke, who's used to be a Tory MP, coming in to work out a way of stopping people going to jail.
Definitely not. We had a burglary a few years ago, and the two people concerned were sent to jail. And when they were in jail, they admitted burglary in our house, and they didn't get anything for it because the detective said they've admitted it. So therefore, they got off scot-free for our burglary, and we lost a lot of things.
So they went to jail or not?
Yes, they did.
So they didn't get off scot-free. I see. They were in jail for something else.
They were into jail for burglaries. But once they was in there, they admitted ours, but they didn't get a punishment because there's already a sentence.
No, I see what you mean. So, because that's the classic where a burglar in jail will say, look, I did another 40.
That's right. And let me out early.
Yeah.
That's it.
But, I mean,
let me out early. I'll go and burgle somebody else's house, because that's my job.
Is it helpful, Val, at least you know who did it? You want to encourage them to confess? Maybe they're already in jail. You don't need to lengthen the sentence. I don't know.
I don't think so, because we went through a lot of heartache over that. And in my opinion, I mean, the detective said to us, they won't get anything for it because they've admitted it while they're in jail for other.
I didn't know that was the rule. You admit something while you're in jail for something else, you don't get punished. That's new on me.
But it
Thanks,
comes
Val.
down to good behaviour, so you get out early.
Well, you know, there was a guy in the States, Henry, but he basically started confessing to murders. And he was known as the confession killer. He confessed to 160, and the police were so keen to clear up the murders, they accepted all the confessions. And he was basically getting cigarettes for his confessions. Henry Lee Lucas. Laura in Northamptonshire, hi.
Hello.
So, what do you think of Stella's? It is Stella's idea, really, is to basically say, if it's a less than 6 month sentence, you're not going to jail.
I think it depends on the person, the nature of the crime and their offending history. Also, their social circumstances on the outside. So a lot of prisoners get released homeless, which I think is just setting them up to fail, which then causes them to reoffend, like the lady said about burglary, so they can live, basically.
And you work in a jail, Laura?
Yes, I do, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose the first way this thing came in, because we had this back in the 60s and 70s, is they said, we're going to do a thing called suspended sentences. Yeah. So this is the first version of it. So you're going to be jailed for 6 months, ... but we're suspending it. So we already have that. But you think, Laura, we should go to the next stage?
I think there should be more done to help people not reoffend. So more courses in prison, more courses outside of prison, but make it accessible to that person as well.
And what, in your experience, having met so many prisoners, what is the main reason for them reoffending?
I would say homelessness.
Okay, not wickedness or...
Yeah, I agree with that.
No. I think homelessness. They've got no support on the outside. They might have exclusion areas. Because of the early release as well, there's been so many prisoners being released all at the same time on the same day, which has put pressure on approved premises, councils.
Understood.
So people are just left to their own devices and they don't know anything else other than committing crime to survive.
Got it. Thank you, Laura. I wonder if we're going to get a crime wave as a result of that botched prisoner release.
It's already happened. It's already happened.
Reoffending is happening no matter the early release. The early release has nothing to do with it. It's not
would you close...
if you had kept them, because all of the people who were released in the early release scheme, they were going to be released a couple of months later anyway.
Sure.
It's not like they were let out.
I'm just thinking, would you close... Let's just think big here. Close all prisons. You keep in let's say half a dozen people, that's the whole life tariff. I think there are 50 of them actually. You can't let out Rose West. You can't let them. But just close prisons for everyone else.
No, I think we need to have prisons. I'm not saying we should not have any prisons, but I'm saying that we need to reduce our prison population significantly. And it doesn't make any sense that we have young people languishing in jail when they could be out there getting jobs.
You've got to have a deterrent. You've got to have a deterrent to crime.
Yeah,
and the best deterrent is denial of liberty.
OK, well, also, the victim needs to see something's been done. Carol in Derbyshire, hi.
Hi. I am in favour of perhaps getting rid of shorter sentences for non-violent crimes. I have worked in prison, and the disruption to lives, jobs, relationships, etc., is very detrimental to people who are serving maybe a few weeks or a few months.
OK, OK. Thank you, Carol.